I have missed you. We have missed you yesterday. Well, we have missed us yesterday, last
Oh,
week, right?
yeah, it's good to be back. It's been a bit rough, so that's why I haven't been around so much.
Right. So you have shared what you have gone through on your life, but today's topic, so episode 37, how do we face how do we face shock?
Mm.
How do we face shock that this was the topic that you wanted to talk about, Sky? So you want to go ahead and share?
Sure. So I guess I put forward this topic when I just had a massive shock. And it takes, I think, anyone who knows me, it takes a lot to shock me. And my reaction to shock is I don't think like other people's. I think I don't cry, I don't fight it, I shut down. I think it's a learnt response where I've been through so much in my life that I get trauma, I know every avenue. There's no point battling, or that's what my brain has learnt. It just shuts down. It doesn't want to talk to friends or family. This was a really bad one as well. So I went to a skin specialist I have for the past couple of years, and like he'll check things, he'll see things. I want to keep my eye on that. That could be bad. Do you want that burnt off? That could go away. And I've always said, no, 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 it's all fine. And all of a sudden he saw something, a mole on my stomach. And he said, I want to keep my eye on this. And I really didn't register. I'm so happy go lucky. I'm like, all right, come back in like 4 months, whatever. And then he's like, it's changed, it's grown, it's all different around the outside. You need to come back in 6 weeks. And then at 6 weeks, I had Christmas, I was busy. And the lady said, well, this one you need to come back sooner, and still wasn't registering. And then when I was sitting there, he went silent. We're like laughing and talking. He didn't do his whole body check. He went straight to that. And when he went silent, I'm like, I don't like it when doctors go silent. And he went silent for a while. And then he goes, I need you to look at this. He's like, the whole outside has changed again. It needs to come off. And I'm still not really registering. But because then he's like, I'm thinking like, I've got about 6 weeks. I'm like, I can probably kind of put this off. And he's like, I've got no time. I'll come in early in like 2 days and do it. And I'm like, oh, okay, this has to be done like really quickly. And so it's on my stomach. Now, if anybody has seen my stomach, I've got from the top down past my belly button, there's a massive scar. But what you probably don't see, and I've spoken about openly, is on the surface of my lower pelvis, there's been 7, I think, laparoscopies due to bits of organs removed, exploratory surgery. But then on the right side, from where the stomach and duodenum was removed. So I've had an entire hysterectomy, as well as my Bartholomew's glands, cervix, all that area. I've had the surrounding tissue taken off. I've had congenital disease taken off, nerves and ligaments taken out. The stomach, I've had the duodenum, top of intestines and stomach removed. And then on the right side is all tubing from where they had to quickly inject and drain things like blood and infection, plus my liver and kidneys got infected. So they had to do work on the right-hand side. So on the left-hand side, I was pretty clear until now. So they then, that was my trauma. My trauma was like, they're like, you could have cancer, and I don't even know that for another 2 days. I don't know whether I'm really that worried about that. I don't think I have it. I stay positive, but the fact that someone had to cut in, and plus I've had 60 surgeries, so a lot of them were endoscopes or from the bottom. Both areas have gone in multiple times because of this, rechecking areas and moving things that way. So this hole is like my trauma zone. And I've said, if you touch my shoulder or my arm, I probably wouldn't. I've been like, yeah, I've got to have a day off, get this done, and back at work. But I literally just shut down. I didn't want, people were like I said a bit of, I need to pull back, and there's so much love. I'm so grateful for the community around me, the people close that I talk to all the time. And you guys were all there for me. But I couldn't put it into words. I couldn't explain how I felt about this. And I'm doing better now, but even on the weekend, a lot of my FND symptoms and chronic fatigue came back, and just, I don't think my brain or body knows how to cope. So, hey, I missed you guys too. But I feel a bit better today. And that takes me to the other topic I was going to say, where I did have some fruit to see how my body would respond. And that was more a mental thing. But when it comes to shock, what I will say is go with it. You have to, and I've said in my life how you always have to remember that the trauma you're reliving the reason you're so scared, you've overcome before. Like at our age, we've overcome so much. If you're on earth, you've been able to overcome, and you can overcome so much. Remind yourself of what you've overcome before. Don't push yourself too much. If you need to stop work, I would suggest doing it. People are like, I can't, you have to, because something worse will happen. Um, it's, yeah, this whole thing's been a very hard on me mentally, but I share what I can, and just being honest with where I'm at. And that's about me being like that with myself.
Oh, thank you for sharing, Sky. I love you.
I
We
love you too.
and we all love you. You're an amazing being, and thank you so much for sharing. And you said that you shut down, but I appreciate that you communicate still. I have, some of my friends, they have to shut down like completely. Like, some of my close friends, they would be gone for 2 weeks or so. I'm like, is he still living, or you know? And I get worried, but you still communicated with me, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate also that you share how you deal with trauma and shock. Like, for me, I'm the kind of person who likes to share. I cope with attacking that trauma or shock. And I think for a lot of people, when we have some kind of shock, just like when, let's say, when we cut our fingers, we don't feel the pain right away, right? There's like some kind of system in our body, which protects us. And the pain kind of comes later. For me, you know, with my personality, I cope much faster when I look at it directly to the cut. That's that could be someone who, say something hurtful to me, or it could be my health challenges. I just want to dig in and see what I can do. Um, and yeah, I think we could share what we can do. And like last year was really tough for me. And the way I cope, one of the biggest way for me to cope was to stay raw vegan. Like
Yes.
staying raw vegan really helped me. Like my father passed away. I had some, weird people harassing me. And, a lot of people go on a junk food. But I knew that if I go in that route, I would just feel miserable. So yeah, raw vegan just helped me.
It does. I was going to also say, so something like when you cut your finger, because you've got so many nerve endings on your finger, you usually actually chop off some of the nerve. So that's why you don't get the communication, right? But when you look at it, you become hyper aware, because usually fingers and tongues bleed a lot. So there'll be blood, and you go into shock. But the other thing about shock is, if you think about
Sorry,
children
did
who
you say fingers and tongue?
and tongues. So they will bleed the most. So this is,
Oh,
you're going to say in a second, Skye, I can imagine this happening to you. So I worked for 4 years in my life, and I worked in fashion, one of these big metal doors, like this wide, and the wind blew it, and my finger slammed into it, and I felt it. And when I turned around, I could see the bone. I couldn't feel it,
oh,
right?
wow.
But there's a huge scar there, and I've still got like electrical, like you get a weird signal at the top, but
Um,
it bled excessively. There was blood running down the stairs. There was like, and I went to the hospital for this, and they told me there, they said fingers and tongues, you have the most nerve supply, because you hold on to things, and also taste, and you're connected to the brain and the head. If you got the most nerves, you got the most blood. So you will bleed a lot. But I did want to say about shock and trauma is, a good way to think about somebody's response is, think about a baby who's been abused. So, because I don't cry, I just don't cry. And a child, when they need something like food or comfort, they're two big ones, especially if you're a baby, they cry. And then the mother comes in or the father comes in and helps them. Now, if a baby's been left and it cries and it cries and it cries and it gets no response, the brain stops sending signals. to that part of the brain because it's a waste of energy. It will just shut down. And I
Mm.
just think it's like a coping thing for me that I've been through so much, and it learnt that sending those signals, that doesn't mean that this won't come back, and I hope it does in a way. But it's just, because when I think back to being younger, is when something like this happened, I was very dramatic. I was very like emotional, very full on. And then like normal people cry, like, because crying releases a lot of endorphins and really buffers us. But I also, if you know me and losing a lot of my memories, it's like that emotional part of my brain shut off for joy, and for sadness, because it's all in the one area. It's all in most in the hippocampus, and I mean the amygdala regulates fear, which is in that whole limbic system as well. I'm going off a bit here, but when that's shut down, it's more like a protective stance, and I think that's what happens. But it's interesting. Like, I went through a lot when I first went raw. I didn't have my family around. I'd just been homeless. I was sick all the time. I just wasn't getting better, and I just did not cry a lot, and I came through that. And then
Mm.
I've had things happen, but nothing like the extent of this. And it's that real reminder. Uh, it's helped. It's helped me in the sense that it's linked. I said this in my live. I feel like going through this trauma was like a push back in the mud. Like, I'd pull myself out of the mud and I got thrown back in the mud. But not only is there bad in the mud, there's also a lot of memory of who I was, and how I was when I overcame a lot of issues. And so that is what's making me feel very different right now. Is there's a huge part of me that's come back from my past, like a ghost,
Mm.
which isn't bad. It's like I wanted that part of myself back. I just didn't necessarily realize that it was going to have to come back through trauma. So I guess it begs the question: is trauma always bad? Is it bad? Like, I believe all of my good comes from my trauma. Like, I believe that all the good that I want to do, the reason I stay raw, the reason I feel love so passionately, and it's like my driving force, is because of trauma, right? So it's
Mm.
just I'm in the mid sticky part of it at the moment.
I love that you share. I love all the metaphor that you share as well. And so yesterday morning, I went for Zen meditation. It's one of my favorite temple in Kyoto. It's a beautiful one, and they offer Sunday meditation session. It's only 20 minutes, half an hour, and after the meditation, monks share Dharma talk. So they share the Buddhist proverbs, and they dig into what it is. And one of the things he shared was, uh, we are happy not because of the surround environments, but it's because we are happy inside. And isn't it so true that it's not we're not happy because we have a car or house or whatever. It's it's the joy that comes from within. And it's always so interesting to observe people. I love people, and I observe people, and same incident happen, and everyone's reaction is different, but usually positive or negative. It's like, oh my God, it's raining. You went running this
Yes,
morning, right?
yes.
You go
So
running.
yeah, because a lot of people, when I first went raw, they're like, I can't do this. It gets cold. It's winter, and I'm like, you harness what you get when it's cold. So in summer, you've got sunshine, you've got more nature, you've got more fresh fruit. In winter, I love the coziness of like making some denser foods. I also love the cold. I can harness the cold to help with inflammation. Like, I've swum in the ocean through winter, or grounding in winter. I find great joy in. I love the cold earth on my feet. And it's like you can see bad or you can see good. And I've spoken about this a lot. Is I feel like when I got well, I trained myself very well in always seeing positive in a situation. It doesn't mean there's not negative. It doesn't mean I don't have to feel emotion, but it's a lot of work in the world we live in to see happiness all the time. Raw foods 100% helps with this. And I love the analogy. I saw a spiritual healer, I don't know which one, talk about how a door, your happiness is on the other side of a door. Now the door is big, the
Hmm.
lock is moderate, but the key is small. And I don't know what he labeled each one, but all of a sudden it came to me actually when I was running or walking the other day that the key for me is raw foods. The lock is the universe. The key unlocks this like nature, this universe. And the door is my sleep and my yoga or my Pilates and my movement and what I and the people I'm around, right? And then that opens the whole door, and there is my happiness.
And that's
And
so interesting.
yeah, I labeled each one, and each person can label it. But if I don't have raw foods, I can't. And people think it's not just about food, 100%. And this is just me being so for real that if I don't have that food, I can't feel the universe at a high frequency. And because of that, when I do massage or when I do exercise, it actually usually harms me. I actually get very inflamed, and I don't reach. I can't open the door. So but each person can think what they cannot access their happiness with. And I have full blown happiness because of those things all the time. Even when things are bad, they're nothing like they used to be.
Oh, I love that. I want you to do AI image on that. Like door was the
I
key, and
should.
that's beautiful. I love that. But I wanted to come back to that talk. Why I mentioned about Dharma talk is because when you said, is trauma bad, right? Some people look at it like, oh, I have this trauma. That's why I'm this way. I'm depressed because of this trauma. My life is not going well because of this trauma. And then now you're saying, Skye, that is trauma bad? I mean, it's true that our darkest time is where we are. That's why we are doing this raw vegan diet and lifestyle, right? I don't think I would have stuck to this lifestyle if I didn't go through that trauma that I went through. And it's a great thing, if you can, I think Tony Robbins also say make the worst day the most beautiful day, or important day of your life. And it's so true that it gives us like this drive and push to live on a better life or better self.
100%. And I don't know whether do you think it's something that can be spoken about, or do you think we have to learn this? Because we grow up, and a lot of what older people say, like grandparents or parents, like be kind to people around you, put your sibling first. It's all trauma, right? People become very, this is all my trauma. But what they're saying is from their lifetime of experience, right? Where their heart has learnt. And it's really, you want to gift all these things from a full cup. And I think I gave the example of when, even when we're younger and they're like, you have to go to school. They want you to get up. They don't want you to wear too much makeup. They don't want you to, be out too late, or whatever their decisions are on you. It's based on what they've learnt or what they've essentially seen throughout their life, which has created trauma for them. And we're like, this is all, too much trauma. But I think it's an important question, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I love how you have, you know, yeah, I love how you have turned your life around, and I really appreciate you share your stories. And this topic of our podcast, I thought that I respect you highly, Skye, and I always think that you have such a great idea, and you're the one who came up with the ups and downs of raw. It's like I could not think of a better topic, like to be able to to show who we are, what we are going through. And what we see in this raw vegan um, world is that they want to come out and say, I feel great and this is what I do, that I never feel sick. And I think some people are that way, but from my experience of meeting people, raw vegan people, high raw vegan people on a real, face-to-face base, that's not the story. And it's great that we can bring it up online and not speak behind the scene.
So there's also a huge movement, I notice just in general in social media, that most of the people have long-term respect for, whichever it is people who are honest. and there's far and few between. They will say the most random things, and I'm really drawn to these type of people. They're not necessarily, they're not vegan, and a lot of their decisions are not things that I would want to do. But I've been there. I've made mistakes. There's choices we make which aren't perfect, and being a real human, I think, is really important. And I don't mind sharing anything. It's about my response to what I share. I hope that people learn from. That's like that you can see good in all, because a lot of people like, well, no, you can't, it's toxic happiness. And I'm like, oh, you'll still feel not great, but isn't it nice that even on my stormy and rainy days I can still see a bit of a rainbow? What if you don't, if the rainbow's right there but you always see the storm cloud? That's the problem, because then you move to your next view, and when you got to put your shoes on, you're like, oh my god, my shoelace is broken. And then you put them on, you're like, I need new running shoes, and you're constant, it doesn't stop. And there's actually studies that show about longevity and gratitude changing the brain and changing our life. And that's the most important thing. What somebody does or how they get there is not as important as what they see while they're going.
Yeah.
Like, people can be making decisions which other people judge on. But what if
Mhm.
this person in there, and I always say is, just say you're eating a really bad diet, you smoke and you drink. I don't even want you to wake up and turn raw, because there's lessons in going raw. It's about the positivity you see when you quit smoking and then you quit drinking, or you vice versa, whatever, and then you quit meat and then you become vegan. And it's that view that will keep that person, I believe, 10 to 15 years from now, still going forward on looking after themselves. And what a better purpose in life than to look after yourself. Look after your human.
Yeah, it's so true that every one of us has to go through their own journey, and we cannot force. Yeah, I call them mama. And we cannot force anyone. We have to have our own internal click. No one,
Mm.
it's not someone's who's forcing you to. If someone forced you to do certain things, they would definitely try to do something behind their scene, right, behind the back, to do what they feel like doing. So definitely. And I this year I really want to focus on being in the moment. And like yesterday, when I went for the morning meditation, I wanted to make sure that I don't go hungry after meditation. So I made a huge, smoothies with me, which I put in my bicycle. And I tend to forget every time. I don't know. Even if you close the lid really well on a bicycle, I ride like a maniac on the bike.
You're sounding like a crazy woman.
Yeah, it's like, woo, like early in the morning, and yeah, I wasn't hungry. And when I got home, my bags ended up drinking all my smoothies. So all over. And it's like, I mean, it happens. It's okay. I mean, I can just curse and, ruin my day. But I said, oh, the bags wanted to drink it. And it's okay. I can drink it. I can make it again. It's not a big deal. And, life happens. And I want to embrace every moment, whatever happens in our life. This is my goal this year.
But what's so important about you seeing that with the smoothie is, when something catastrophe what level happens, you still can see light. And that's what these practicing each day in seeing good does, is when something negative comes up. I mean, when I broke my foot, mum goes to me, well, at least you have another one. Like, and she said it so seriously, right? And I'm like, well, I do, don't I? I have two, and I have plenty of toes. It was only a toe. I say foot, but it was, and that, I think, I've grown up around, which I'm very blessed, right? Is
I
because
love
it's
it.
not what she said, but the lesson that I think the subconscious takes in, that mum always still goes, okay, you might lose an arm, but hey, you've got another one. Like, because I've grown up around somebody still seeing positive, even in dark. And that's what doing this does. And that's what I want for people. And I know a lot of people are like, I can't do that because I have family trauma. Man, I have trauma. I've been in a psych unit 9 times, 10 months, one time scheduled for that time. I've had 60 surgeries. My trauma is somewhere else, but it
Mhm.
doesn't mean it's going to dictate my life, because when I think back, is all of those things that can break someone, you can make. And it's also what you choose to see. I mean, I feel like when I was younger, when people used to make comments like my mum does, I'd be like, you don't care about me. You can't see my problem. You don't see what's wrong with me. But now, as an adult, with the lessons I've learned, I can see that it's someone always seeing the light. But not
Mm-hmm.
just seeing the light, you have to appreciate that in every situation, you can still see light. And I'm a really big fan of Bashar. I don't know if you follow Bashar.
Oh yeah, I
I
love
love
that.
Bashar. Like I don't, there's whatever comes out of his mouth. I've never. Most people who talk, I will find something that like I see differently. His frequency, whatever that download is just. Sorry, I've gone off and I don't even know what I was going to say about him. Oh, he says the way God and Source is it can still do bad and it can go down negative paths. It is just alive. Like it's a living consciousness. We all expect it to always be perfect, and in that scenario I can still pick perfect or good or perfect or good as much as I can in my life. Like I don't he's sort of saying we think we have to suffer, like there's all this suffering. You can choose to, or you can choose to see good. Sorry, you obviously love Bashar as much as me.
Yeah, I remember when 2005, when I was doing a backpacking trip from Spain all the way to Istanbul. Oh, I took a trip from Spain to Morocco.
Ooh.
On a boat. For some reason, there was a little bookshelf for us to read on the trip. And this is in Morocco, going to Spain, right? And there was a book of Bashar in Japanese.
What? It was
It was
meant
a
for you.
I know. It's like, what is this? Like, this is for me.
I love
And
it.
yeah, I love Bashar. He's got a great humor and he's very direct and that was one of the book that confirmed me. You know, do whatever makes you feel good. It just keep on searching for something exciting. And here I was. I quit this high profile IT consultant work in New York. And everyone thought that I was crazy leaving New York as a good, well paid job. And I wanted to see the world. And, I wanted to go back in Japan, to do, work in Latin America, work in Tokyo. And, and that kind of just confirmed me. Basha's like, just keep on going, what excites you. And yes.
So on that, I feel if you are an empath or ADHD type person,
Yeah.
you don't really get a choice. Like I feel like why I suffer in pain and why my brain will go off if it's not aligned with me is because it's so loud, that alignment. Like I don't know whether and that isn't that makes me better. I mean a lot of people can self-sacrifice in those sort of situations, but everyone is here at a different time for a different lesson. And I really feel that it's so loud what I should be doing, as in like it can't be money driven. Money will just come if you're in your alignment. Every time I go out of alignment, I feel like I get sick or unwell. And I think many people like this, they just don't know. And I think a lot of people are able to push through and then they get very sick later in life, is they haven't lived in that alignment. And it's more about lessons than finances or like social acceptance. And it's interesting because when you think about what people say on their deathbed, one of the first things is I wish I didn't focus on work. Like what I think it now is just
Mhm.
loving life. If I could just focus on loving life, because at the end of the day, it's always okay. if you
Mhm.
if you keep going and you look for good, it's always okay. It doesn't have to be brilliant every day, but it will always be okay.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know if you ever listened to Evie Pompuras. She used to be a CIA secret, no, not CIA, secret agent.
Sure.
And yeah, I love her talk on YouTube, and her book is amazing, Bulletproof. And she's gone through this, 9/11, and she was like working there to help people, rescue during 9/11. And she's gone through so much, and she could have complained about her trauma, but she just turns that, and she just shared how it didn't help her to complain about what went wrong in her
Yeah.
life, but for her, just go on and help other people was the driving force to keep on going. And she's just a very strong, powerful woman. I love. Yeah, she's like my kick ass sister.
I like that. I like that. And that's it, it's like it's very true. You don't want to ever think that life brought us here to make us suffer. That's
Mhm,
that's the number one question, right? Is
mhm,
why did you manifest into like a higher being soul when obviously the way reproduction works is it's very low chance that you'll even get a life, right? Like, and it was it then to be punished, and you don't want to sit in that energy. You want to feel about your purpose, and a purpose
mhm,
starts small, right? I remember like when I think about how my life changed, once it changed, it felt so powerful. I just posted little recipes on Instagram. I wasn't doing YouTube and podcasts and coaching. It doesn't start like that. But like the light or the growth starts in the soil, right? In the dark. And that when I think of me starting in the dark was all the amazing things I did for myself with no one watching but me.
mhm,
In that space was I had to change my life. I didn't have anyone around me. I had to order my food. I had to make the salad. I had to make sure that now I could get outside a bit. They're all things with absolutely no perceived gratitude from external sources. And I think
mhm,
when you like your true purpose sits in that, right? What you do with no gratification from external sources, and then it blooms, comes up, turns
mhm.
into a flower.
Well, so do you want to share? So you have gone through this shock recently, right? Last week. And what have you done to yourself to recuperate from that?
So I first got the news and kind of went manic. Like, not manic as in like hospitalization, but I just had a lot of work laid out that I was planning on doing. I was well now. Remember, I did the keto and I'm doing keto. We'll see how that goes. I can talk about that later. But, and I was feeling well and amazing. I had all this work lined up. And all of a sudden, I'm going to have to stop now because they're cutting into my stomach. So I just worked, like worked. So there was no time to think about it.
Mm,
In fact, I was filming YouTube videos at YouTube. I made a new recipe. Like I came back from the appointment and made that burger recipe, like my best recipe, one of my best recipes. And and then it was a day before, and I had to stop because I knew I was burning like the candle at both ends, and that wasn't good for having the little procedure that was coming up. And
burning,
then I
what burning what?
burning the candle at both ends. So basically, like you burn
Oh yeah.
out. It's
Mm,
just a saying. And I stopped, but then I couldn't face it. I couldn't sit in that energy, and I was sedated the night before and for the procedure, just because I don't think it made much of a difference actually, because I was just so overwhelmed. Then after that, I was actually in physical pain in the scar area, especially when I ate and when every time my stomach contracted or I moved, because it's right where you move. That was for about 4 or 5 days. So with that, I don't deal with things in pain. And I think that's being in chronic pain all these years. I never processed anything till the pain went. Anyway, once the pain went, it was like chronic fatigue just overcame me. I was just sleeping all day into the night
mm.
for about 3 days. And
That's great though.
it
Sleep.
is for
It's,
me, it is because I
mm,
just don't usually am able to get to that space. So I actually was very grateful. I actually put that down to a lot of the omega 3s helping me, my brain sink into where it needed to go. And then I came out of that, and the last couple of days, including yesterday, I had some pretty bad functional neurological disorder symptoms. So it's like my brain won't completely process it. It gets dis-ease. Like it gets
yesterday.
yeah, I was pretty sick, but you know me, I can be really sick. Like I woke up and I was having like tremors again, and I just had a lot of juice. Yesterday was a really bad day. I didn't sleep the night before, had a really upset stomach, and then, but I think this is coming off the back of all these days resting, and then
Upset stomach because of.
I think just trauma. I think it's a
Okay,
process.
emotional.
Emotional, yeah. And
Mm.
then my functional neurological disorder where these tics come up and then I start shaking like uncontrollably. Now for that, juicing really helps me, making sure my hormones were really stable in my body. Anything that can cause inflammation in any way can tip me into that's the main thing that comes up. But this is why I ate fruit yesterday, because I was feeling that I had no symptoms on the old symptoms, the histamine symptoms, the skin symptoms, the nerve symptoms, the blood sugar things when I'm doing keto. But spiritually, for about 4 days, I felt I was called to fruit. And so yesterday I ate some fruit and I felt lighter. It
What
helped.
kind of fruits?
I had some mango and I shouldn't have had banana. I'm no good with banana. That might have been my problem too. Um, Banana and mango. And I felt better, lighter. But then I've woken up with nerve pain today and some histamine issues in my ear, itchy ears. And it's like that. It's that place where I think many people get, where nothing is perfect, right? But where do I want to sit, and how much of
Mhm.
it is emotional? And so I haven't even made a decision what I want to do today. I've had my matcha, I've had my celery juice. I did have a little bit of flax oil, and that helps me, the signaling in my brain. So what I noticed yesterday afternoon, when I had really low amounts of flax oil, I still had my algae oil, but I had low amounts of flax oil. I walked outside. It was like being hit by, you go past the laundry here with these apartments. I was like, what is that smell? My brain gets overloaded with like a histamine response. And then I go to the toilet up here and the smell is, it comes in the window. The first thing I noticed when I did higher amounts of omega-3, even with fruit in my diet, is when I'm out in the wild, out in nature, is I don't get set off by perfumes, smells, uh, laundry detergent. So yesterday that was happening, but I didn't want to have any oil after I'd had the fruit. Um,
Mm.
so I waited till this morning, had my green juice, and noticed when I went for the run, the smells were really overwhelming, and I was getting, nerve pain was building up. And then when I came back, I had some flax oil. It's helped a bit, and I took some quercetin because that usually helps with the burning nerves. But yeah, it's interesting.
That's great that you have all these, backups, that you have research, and omega-3 fatty acids, like oil especially, that helps you, and
Yeah,
some pill, like quercetin, and that's great. I remember, I think in long period of time, in this raw vegan journey, I was so uh confused, like what's going on in my body, like what are the food, what kind of foods are triggering, because I used to eat a lot of food. Like when you eat one meal, usually it's not just one vegetable, one thing on your plate. So it takes time to find out what triggers. Like for you, that's banana, right? Or
I shouldn't have had banana. It's interesting. It's like this double it. I'll have the banana and I can feel really good, but the next day, like today, and I guess I always tested it. Usually
it's
comes
not right away.
no, it's interesting, and that's what can happen with histamines and mast cell activation is, and that's why it's so hard to diagnose. Actually, one of the huge signs I saw a doctor talk about when someone who has mast cell activation is the symptoms are never the same. One week it's diarrhea, next minute it's constipation, then there's bloating, then there's rashes. Those rashes will go. Next minute it's all these other things. So
Mm.
I think like that's something to think about. But it's usually off the back of doing something like this, or grape cleanse or juicing. I will test how well a reset has worked in my body. And I remember coming off grapes and being like, oh my God, bananas are the chef's kiss, amazing digestion, so good, feel good. And then this is when I worked in disabilities. Oh my God, it's the next day. The fatigue, the swelling, you probably can't see because I've juiced a lot this morning. And matcha has quercetin in it, plus the caffeine, which helps flush everything out for me. So it's lowered it, but I wake up, I'm so puffy, puffier than salt. My
Oh.
eyes are red, which I think you can probably see. Um, and it's like the next day. And I think what happens is it's the histamines in my gut, which doesn't have DAO, and me taking DAO is usually not as good as quercetin. It can set me off. So diamine oxidase breaks down histamines. Not having most of my stomach, I don't have a lot of that. And it sits in my stomach, and then I sleep, and the acid comes up, and I wake up with itchy ears. Um, like
Okay.
it's not itchy ears out here, it comes up. And a lot of people need to realize this who have chronic sinus or itchy ears or chronic earaches or even burning eyes is a lot of the time it can be just the acid. Like I would love to be able to sleep sitting up, but I'm no good at it. I always, even in the morning, I find myself laying down. And I think you're better off to lay on your, I think it's one side is better than the other for it.
Left, yeah.
But it's worth noting that, and especially as we age, because what happens is the more acid that you have in your stomach, the more that little, it's like a little block off. I can't think what it's called right now. It blocks off the, it blocks off the acid. It's like a little cap. And when
Mm.
you age and get less acid, the signal to close that off is weakened. So that increases the chance of acid coming up. And then the food, we eat the most least acid diet, right? Like if I have something like coffee, oh my God. Or when I used to have cooked food, chronic like sinusitis, ear things, most of it's all calmed down. Plus, you have to remember raw food goes through you much faster. But everything I'm explaining is literally just like learned experience. Like,
Mm.
like it's just stuff that I'm letting. Actually, my nerves are slowly starting to settle a bit now, but they were bad this morning.
Well, thanks for showing up, regardless of what you have gone through. That's amazing, and I think it helps. It helps me that you share in detail of how it works, because when a lot of people think that when allergy is like immediate reaction, right? And
Yeah,
that's not it. And for me as well, it's a delayed allergy reaction. That's why once I eat something, it would take me a month, like minimum 1 month for
it's so
me to
bad.
get back to where I was before. And it's just so annoying. And that's one of the reason I stay on fully raw, because it's just not worth it. I just want to feel great like this, and feel like I am thriving every minute, and it's just not worth eating that 1 second of the delight with junk food.
It's also interesting, and people need to realize this is things can work really, and this is what I love about doing raw foods in so many different ways. Raw foods always makes me feel my best, right? But I've done high fruit, high greens with nuts and seeds, high omega-3, keto, mono. I know you've done a lot of different modalities as well, and
Yeah.
I love that my brain has stored them and it will click into what it needs to do when it needs to do it. It'll mix and match some of it. It'll even tell me at the moment, it's kind of telling me that this is what my brain's telling me. So when I was in New York with Jillian, I did really well. I was moving a lot. I was like 30,000 steps a day. I did not stop moving, but
Wow.
I did
That's so.
high omega-3s with fruit. And I did have nerve pain, but it wasn't this bad. Doing high omega-3s did help a lot. My body's kind of telling me it wants me to eat lighter at the moment, but still play around with omega-3s. That's what my body's telling me. But interesting how it sends me back. It sends me back to, because I'm like, I'd love to do grapes, and it's kind of telling me grapes is too much. But you should sit doing like greens, some fruit, but you might need lighter. And I do feel it's just where I am mentally because I've had a big trauma. Because guys, you saw all the videos, you saw how well I did on keto. I was up early, I was doing everything, I was loving it. And then it is life. Something changes. And maybe then for now I need to eat a little bit different. So interesting about bananas, that exactly what I had in my smoothie yesterday, and I feel terrible today. I feel like toxins in my body, that's, it's actually very interesting. Out of all of the fruits, I don't even think it is the highest in histamines. In fact, I ate semi-green bananas yesterday because I'll get less of a reaction. I wasn't craving sweet fruit. Please know, people always ask why, as this is just a theory, why when I first go raw do I feel so good? And then when I do it for years, I get really unwell. When you first start, you're usually eating more unripe fruit, but you're eating smaller amounts. Please know the sweeter fruits, as fruit sweeten, they get more histamines. Plus, we start shoving in sweet fruit after sweet fruit after sweet, trying to get calories in, right? So you're getting a huge amount of histamines while you're stretching your gut, where you're more likely to get gut issues with more histamines plus sugars, right? And that's just a theory I have. But bananas, for me, what they do to me, I would actually put them on a level of toxins. That's how it feels in my system. I'm not saying it's like that for anybody else, but I will have histamine reactions from avocados or citrus, and they'll be very traditional. They'll be very like scratchy eyes, scratchy nose, scratchy ears almost instantly.
Mm.
Bananas, it's the next day, and it's even like I can feel the fur in the back of my throat, and but I then I don't do it very often, but I'd say every 4 to 6 months I'll have a few bananas, and then I will have to relearn. But um,
Have you
yeah,
tried the green banana powder?
no, I haven't, but I did want to say I am better when I don't do when I do like ice cream bananas or little bananas. Uh,
Ice
I
cream
am better.
bananas.
Yeah, but the other thing about this is I do better as well with avocados that aren't Hass, uh, which I don't seem to have a reaction. It could also be that my body has a learned build up reaction to a common food. I was having a lot of bananas, have had a lot of Hass avocados. Is your immune system is built to protect you from everything. So um, on a higher note, sea vegetables have grown out more hairs and longer lashes. I love that. Yes. We are on sea moss. I think we're day 19 or 20 today.
19, yeah, January 19th, right? Yeah.
Oh, it is 19. So yeah, we're on day 19. But even my eyes, sorry, my eyes just look glassy and just
I
it's
love it. Eyes
yeah,
that are glassy.
oh no, they're glassy from the bananas. I've jumped back to bananas here. Like the I don't have a great response to them. Like it's yeah.
You know,
Anyway, it's just about over now. It's nearly midday. If I have a hangover from raw food, like eating too much dehydrated food or something wrong, by 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. the next day, if I've mostly juiced and eaten really light, it will flush out.
this helps that you share all these tips. I mean, it's just everyone's different, but when you mention that helps us think, oh, it's true. Like I'm feeling itchier today, and what did I eat yesterday, or even day before yesterday? What have I been eating recently? It just kind of questions because on a busy day we are all busy and we forget to pay attention to these things. And I personally think that it's very helpful that you share these stories, Sky.
I'm glad. It's
Mm.
I'm like really sensitive, and I guess people can already assume that. But I remember when I used to go to doctors who would see me often, and even when they'd come near, and it can happen with chronic pain, they'd say when it came to drugs or medication or my response to things, I was so sensitive, so sensitive. And I guess it's like my superpower, right? Is
Mhm.
I know how I feel. The thing that disrupts knowing how something responds in your body, I truly believe, this is for everybody, is chemicals in food. I believe that chemicals in food do not let people perceive or feel things the same way. Like for me, I know I'm vegan for the animals, and that's a priority I feel that's more ethical. If I'm completely honest about the response my body has to foods, chemicals in foods, getting rid of them was like huge. That you can feel things differently, how they should be. Your response seems to be very true. Who you become seems to be more true. But then I believe getting rid of them made me go vegan, because then it was so obvious on my plate. So I was like got rid of processed foods for about a year. That's when at the end of that year I went vegan, because I'm like, well, that doesn't belong on the plate. Like it just looks so far. Like I could not see
Yes.
that. Like it was just literally deadly obvious. The words are deadly obvious.
You know
There's
what?
like a dead body on my plate. And
Yeah.
so I didn't watch anything. Nobody around me was vegan. I'm like, I'm vegan. Like this is gone.
Yeah. I have been on the plant-based journey for over 30 years now. And I
Mm.
remember, so like it went with phases. I stopped eating pigs, dead pigs. And then the second was dead cow. And I remember in New York, like my friends were always pushing me, Kiko, just a little bite, just this beautiful beef, just try a little bit. And literally, I was not vegan back then, but I could see the little miniature cow walking on my plate. Like they
Wow.
put the cow, in a piece, and I tell my friends that I cannot. I mean, I can see the cow walking on my plate, and everyone laughed. And it's not funny. Like you guys are eating dead meat. Like stop eating.
Yeah, can I be so for real? I feel like when I was about 15 or 16, I pretty much stopped eating meat as what we know as meat. Like even okay, so like if I ate meat, it would have to be in like bolognese or something where it's like so covered in tomato and herbs, or like stir fried chicken. So there's just a little bit of chicken. It's mostly like soy sauce and like vegetables and stuff. I stopped eating pieces. Then when I lost my stomach, you can't really digest much. So it still sat around there. So I wasn't a big meat eater anyway. But I feel like once you get rid of chemicals, like it's the universe is just you're able to see your truth. That's what it feels like. For me, the last thing for me, it was very much at the end, was the seafood. Um, I, I, I think I got rid of it all at once. I just was like, this just looks wrong. Like, so, so
Yeah, me
avocados
too.
and citrus gives me other side effects to look for. So if you, I will, I think you're on Kiko's page. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram. I can send it to you there direct. I actually have
No,
a
Kelsey, she's on from your site. Yeah,
Oh, okay. I
yeah.
can't see that. Okay. I can post it in my video anyway. I can give it to you, Kiko. So I have a folder of high histamine foods, low histamine foods. Also, you need to have, yeah. And the high histamine foods are tomatoes, pineapples, avocados, bananas, like all the things that raw vegans have a lot of, like the higher calorie ones, or not pineapple isn't there, but like we have tomato, avocado, banana, uh, what else? Things like walnuts have moderate, but thing about citrus is a histamine liberator. So it doesn't have histamines. It goes in your body and liberates your own histamines. So it gives you more, it gets activates histamines in the body. And I find at different times I have different levels of tolerance to these things. And that's just an amount of histamines in your body. Like you might be able to eat low histamine all day and tolerate half a avocado because it's like a buildup, and that's something to be mindful as well. But I have a folder of information on all his. I'm saying that it's already linked in my description. It's the mast cell activation folder, all the histamine foods and natural antihistamines like quercetin and DAOs. It's all in
Mm.
there.
Yeah, I love that you use the Google Doc and you're so organized that way. I love it.
Yes. So we want everybody to be healthy and feel their
Yes,
best and feel their
exactly.
best. But it's
Well,
also, sorry, before we go, because I know we're about to go, just be mindful. Don't try not to, unless you're really sick, try not classify these things as bad because they're full of nutrients, not just histamines. And the lower inflammation you have in the body, the more your body won't react to histamines. And just for mental health and being on a raw diet, it can get really, the word tacky or messy, where it's like there's oxalates, there's histamines, there's and just it's like you want to be like, yes, but with that there's so much goodness. Like
mhm.
everything can have a positive or a negative.
Yeah, it's so true. And yeah, I feel like there's no shortcut. Just observe how you feel on a daily basis every time, how you eat, how are you, who you are eating, what state you're in, and all that counts. So,
And who you eat with, reminder, I don't think it applies now because I think a lot of the Europeans are asleep, but we are having the Europe party. And Kiko doll, I ordered her. Anyone following my story? She's on
so keep Kiko on the way.
her way.
Okay, well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And thanks, Skye, for showing up again and sharing your journey. I love listening to your journey, and it helps me listen to your journey and apply it to my own journey. So
Oh,
I
I
hope
love you,
that,
Chico. I learned so much from you, and I love your pink. We're both bright.
yeah, same color as your manicure.
Yeah, my Barbie pink. Well, your Barbie Kiko is on her way, so it's perfect.
I
Barbie
can't.
Kiko.
Okay, great. Well, we'll be back next week again. And thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.